again to the Badass, Unapologetically Badass. I'm over here making mistakes and I haven't even started drinking yet. It's only 4:00 here in the East Coast, but the Unapologetically Badass podcast. And I am super excited to introduce everyone to the fabulous Deb Honor. We had met through her master networking. She is truly a master of networking, and I will let her explain exactly what she does. But hello, Deb. Welcome.
Hi, Renee and Sierra. So great to be here today. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. So why don't we just kick it off? Like, I would love for you to share what you do now and what your title is. So with
all the deets
and how we met.
All the deets. All right. Well, I am the development director at Women's Fund of Rhode Island in Providence, Rhode Island. I basically oversee a development committee of about 18 people. I plan all the events and execute them with the development committee. We have two major events in play: Elevate Your Career, which takes place in April, and we have Women Leading Change, which takes place in September. So all year long, we work on those two events. But this year, we're also having two fun knockoff events. One is called Galentine's Regifting for Rights, where people can bring a gift card that they may not use from the holidays, and we will then use them for baskets for our raffles later on in the year. And we are also putting on a Diva Empowerment concert in March. Super excited about that because it's something that I've always wanted to do, and it is my background is music. So I'm excited to bring that to life.
That's fantastic.
So amazing. How in the world did you get into this?
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, I'm like, how?
I know.
I mean, if you're like, I got into music, and then all of a sudden you're like, we're doing this, we're doing Diva, okay, tell us.
So I started in music. I went to music school. I taught music for somewhere between 6 and 8 years. And when I had my second child, I knew that I didn't want to go back to teaching. I wanted to be home. And funny enough, I landed in a Catholic church singing and also became the music director of the Catholic church and kind of used my voice there. So I was still able to stay in the music world. My dad was so mad when I went into music because he's like, you are the only one of my 3 children that has a business mind. And you could sell ice to an Eskimo. And I told him I would never get into sales. I wish that I could say that he wanted to say over and over again, I told you so. I'm like, do not ever say those words. But he was right. Fundraising really is sales in the end of the day. I got into fundraising, I'm going to say 2012. I started walking the Susan G. Komen walk in Boston with a girlfriend who had breast cancer. We had a very small team. In 2013, we transitioned over to the Avon 39 Walk to End Breast Cancer. And for 4 years in a row, I just built my team. I just was like, okay, I'm going to be the captain of this team. I'm just going to keep building it. And in the 4th year, I got the call from Avon 39. Hey, Deb, would love to interview you. I'm like, fantastic. How many of the team members do you want? Do you want us in our jerseys, outside, inside, walking? They're like, what? I'm like, for the interview, like, how many of the team members do you want? They're like, Deb, we want to hire you. We want to interview you. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know the first thing about fundraising. They're like, well, you ended up being the number 1 team, raising $197,000, and your team all said it was because of you. Long story short, got hired in November, December trained, got up and running. Well, between January and March, I raised $1 million for Avon 39 as a coach. And I just realized how much I loved fundraising. I did stay in the nonprofit world for a few years. I dabbled in the for-profit world, but I am back where I belong in the nonprofit world here at Women's Fund of Rhode Island. So super happy to be in the fundraising space.
That's so amazing. I'm wondering, Deb, I know we talked prior about us like just maybe knowing each other. I did a lot of the breast cancer walks too, and I worked for Avon. And I'm like, maybe that is where I've seen your face. And I did a little bit of field training in the Rhode Island area, the New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island area. Gosh, I was there, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago. So your face just seems so familiar to me. And you are very, very prevalent. So I feel like you probably were in a magazine, you know how they had the breast cancer, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a great memory.
I know. And you know what? I did go to New York for my training. So I wonder if we overlapped there. That's so cool.
We probably
Isn't
did.
that funny how You never know who you're going to meet.
The world is.
Oh my God.
Small. It's
Yeah.
your oyster. It is really your oyster, and you never know what you're going to find inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Now, when you were when you pursued your education in music, like why did you or how did you find that passion for voice compared
what's funny is my family always told me, I always knew that I had the God-given gift of singing. And my family always said that my brother and sister are 7.5 and 11.5 years older. And my brother was in 2nd grade when I was born and had a solo of Silent Night. And I was probably 6 months old, right? At Christmas time. I was born in April. And they said all of a sudden I'd be in my crib and I would just start humming Silent Night. And they were like, what? So 6 months old, I already had pitch, which is so weird. And they're like, you would just start singing in the car at such a young age. And I just always loved music. I love it. I love all kinds of music. I particularly love Broadway. I love going to Broadway shows. But I think that one of my biggest regrets in life actually is my senior year of college when I was going to be going out teaching. I saw this audition coming to Boston for Disney. And I always wanted to be a Disney character. That's really probably the best style for my voice. So I wrote to them. I had all my professors write recommendation letters. I was going to go and be the Disney character, the voice behind. I wanted to be Ariel so bad. Little Mermaid's my jam. Yeah. So I sent off all the stuff. I was one of the 5 people they came to Boston to audition. My college roommates wanted to come with me. I was like, no, I need to do this one on my own. And I did not show up for the audition. I know.
Okay, tell us why. What happened?
I left for the audition and I just panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, do I see myself moving to Florida? Do I see myself leaving here? Am I supposed to teach? Like I just panicked. So I drove myself to the Burlington Mall in Massachusetts and shopped.
Oh my gosh. But you never know where it's going to lead you.
You never know.
We do know, right? God has a purpose. So there was a reason why perhaps you did not go. And that led you to what you're doing now. I mean,
isn't it? It's so weird how life just happens and you just I keep following it to see where it's going to lead. You never know. Maybe I'll be in Disney someday and be the character for the next Disney movie.
Well, and so, okay, but here's the funny thing. Did you see that? Who is that woman? And I don't remember her. I don't know her name, but she's an older woman who tried out for the Rockettes or Broadway within the last year or so. It was like on her list that she was like, I want to do it. I want to do it. And it was like a woman over 40, a woman over 50. You've got to look that up because with your passion for, she was more like dance, like she really, that was her thing. And she never did it when she was younger. And she auditioned and she got a part. So
you never know.
If I had taken dance, I would have gone to Broadway, 100%. Like I would have also loved to be on Broadway, but I cannot dance.
See, I was a dancer.
TikTok trends, and I'm all over the place.
I can dance. My background, I mean, not that I was a professional dancer, but I did take dance when I was younger. That was my jam. I am the Renee Fleming that can clear the room.
Okay.
I am the polar opposite. So for those that don't know, Renee Fleming is a famous opera singer. And when she was singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, my daughter's friends were all like, when they saw it in news, like Renee Fleming is singing, they were like, your mom is going to the Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. So did you sing professionally as well? Like I know you were a teacher, but did you do also?
So the most professional, I do a ton of weddings and funerals. I am the primary singer at my church at Most Precious Blood in Dover, Massachusetts. But I also, it's funny how if you had ever told me I would get into church singing, I would have told you were crazy. But that's where I landed. I love singing. Weirdly enough, I do love singing funerals. My first one was my aunt's. My mom passed away when I was younger, and my aunt kind of became my second mom. And she passed away my sophomore or junior year of college. Oh. And as she was dying, she's like, my last dying wish is that you and your sister will sing my funeral. I was like, no way. I'm not doing that. And she pulled me by my collar into her. She goes, but you are. You will sing my funeral. So I sang her funeral with my sister. My aunt's husband is where we all got our voices from.
Wow.
He actually sang his wife's funeral and their brother. And it was beautiful, sad, all of the above. Those three started crying. So guess who was the last one standing at 19 years old? Me. And I thought to myself, how am I not sobbing my eyes out right now? And I think that this like power from within just came through that I knew I had to keep singing. So I do a lot of it's so weird. And I also sing a lot of national anthems. So sometimes you'll catch me singing for the PB Bruins. I get called around. So I do love that too.
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to catch it. I didn't know this side.
I would die to have like the gift of, my husband doesn't understand because he's musical. So I'm like, he's like, he could hear a song in the first like second. And he's like, oh yeah, da-da-da, Top Gun. And I'm like, I need to hear the words. I need to hear the words. He's like, you don't hear that? And I'm like, you want to know what I hear? I wish for a second I could just understand a note or a tone and just like hold it and keep it. And he just has it. He just has it. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. And that's why they call you tone deaf, because you just don't have it. And yeah, I'm that girl. I don't have it. But I mad respect to you. I love you. I'm envious.
Aww.
Yeah, I can't sing to save my life at all.
Oh no, I can sing, Renee. There's a difference.
Oh,
I
can
sing
you?
my butt off. Oh, I've seen, girl. But do I sound good?
I mean, I sing all the time, but I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Like I said, I can clear the room. So when you had your littles, right? How long ago, like how many children do you have now?
I have 4.
You have 4. And how old are they?
So my oldest is 24, a daughter. She is a preschool teacher at the moment, but she's hoping to get into early education. Yep. My son is a senior at Bryant University. He's a finance major with a minor in sales. My daughter is a senior at Franklin High School, and she is hoping to go to UVM. So she's been accepted into 5 of her 6 schools. Her number 2 school is Sacred Heart in Connecticut, so we're waiting to see. And then my littlest one is a son, and he is a sophomore at Franklin High School.
Wow.
Are any of them musical? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so my oldest had the lead in the High School Musical, and my third is probably the best singer. Well, I would say my 2 daughters are probably the best singers, but my third will silently sing. Like she'll close her door and sing on the top of her lungs and not think that any of us are listening to her. And she has such a beautiful voice. I wish she would use her gift. Hopefully she finds that someday, but she is like the shower singer and behind her closed door where she thinks nobody can hear her. But I love what she sings. She has a beautiful voice.
Oh,
that's
sweet. So how did you find balancing it all? I mean, you're still balancing it. You still have you work full time, working like crazy, right?
Yeah. So work-life balance, what is my goal for 2025? It's so funny that you say that because if you do, Sierra, now that we're friends on LinkedIn, you will go and check my LinkedIn out. And I have a gazillion coffees a week, a gazillion lunches, a gazillion dinners. I go to as many networking events as I possibly can. I'm really trying to scale back and spend more time now that I am going to have another college graduate and a college up and coming college leaving. So I'm really going to only have one more high school student at home next year. And that reality has been setting in so much so that I've been taking a look at my calendar and I've really been trying to be home for 1 or 2 meals a week. Because there were many nights last year, because when I literally just started this job, it will be a year on January 22nd. So I've only been here for almost a year. And I feel like when you're in your first year of any job, you have to really go in full force, all guns a-blazing so that you can make those connections and build the brand and build your own brand of the brand. So I really worked hard on that for 2024. And my goal for 2025 is to step back a little bit, be home, but still attend the events that like I'll take a look at as many as I can possibly get to. I will be there because I do feel like that is so important. The connectivity and making those connections is really the key to your success.
Yeah.
When you say making those connections? Is there something special that you do whenever you show up to these network events? I'm just curious.
So I love to go to networking events in a pod. So you'll laugh. So last night, there's one next week. It's a big one. And of those bigger ones, I love a lot of my friends to be there. So I sent out a text to all the people I know who love to network. And they come to my own. I have a networking event that I run once a month. And I increased the people can attendee list to 125, and I'm 6 away from that. So from 2022, I had 12 at my first one. And Here we are 3 years later in March, I'll be celebrating 3 years at Heart of Rhode Island, and that gets 125. So some of those people that come, I'm like, hey, if you'd like to come to the event next week, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to say 15 people registered today. So I love to go to an event in a pod, because then you feel like you at least have one buddy, right? You can, I would say, all right, let's break away and go meet 5 people. That's always I strive to meet 5 at every single event I go to. I want to make sure I go home with at least 5 business cards. And I don't want to just go over and ask them for their business card. I want to find out what they do and how I can help them. And if there's synergy for a coffee right away, or if we're going to build that relationship a little bit.
Okay. So that's the key, is like taking that initial connection and then bringing it outside of that event so that you can continue to keep building on the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's beautiful.
So many.
And I mean, obviously these are people that have turned into friends, I would assume too. And I mean, like lifelong friends, even though it's only been like a year or so, but I mean, I'm sure that there's such a deep, deep rooted connection. I mean, do you have a story or anything like that? Of like
with connections? You know what? I will tell you my favorite story that I was sharing this at lunch today. Connections. Let's go back to when I first took my very first job here in Rhode Island. It was at American Heart, and I knew nobody. When I say nobody, I mean not a soul in Rhode Island other than the boss that just hired me, my new Heart Walk partner, and the 2 other people that in the directors in the office. And so we go in for our first staff meeting an hour after I started, and little did I know that we didn't have a Heart Walk chair, and I was having a heart attack. She was like, who's your COIs and who's your CEOs? And I'm like, what are these letters even meaning? I'm like, so I'm writing down all the letters. I go back to my desk. I'm researching what they all mean. Well, I didn't, like I said, I knew nobody. So I just started looking up companies in Rhode Island, and this genuine smile just kept coming across my screen, this man. So I was finding him no matter what I did. So I called this hospital. I'm not kidding you. This is a true story. I called every department in that hospital until I found him, and I got his gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper, the executive assistant, was like, and what's your name? I'm like, oh, I'm Deb Honor. And she's like, and what do you want? I'm like, I want to have a meeting with Michael. She's like, for what? I'm like, I want Michael to be my Heart Walk chair. Like, looking back, crazy lunatic. Who calls the CEO of a hospital?
Being that naive is like, what is it called? Something on fire? Like when you're that naive, like fire is ignite.
I hate to tell you this naiveness was not that long ago. I was in my mid-40s. Like, I can tell you guys this.
Yeah.
We're being raw and authentic. I was in my mid-40s making this phone call to talk to the CEO. Well,
like, it's going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about, lady, but it is going to happen. So get him on your phone.
He has a genuine smile. I just want to get to know him. Well, do you know that all of a sudden, imagine I'm knocking on my boss's door, and I'm like, do you have time for a meeting next Monday? And she's like, with who? And her back is to me, right? I'm like, oh, Michael Souza. She's like, who's Michael Souza? I'm like, oh, he's the CEO of Landmark Medical Center. She flips around. She goes, how did you get that meeting? I'm like, well, I called every department in the hospital till I found him. And long story short, he is probably my best friend in the state. He's one of my top 5. He's the top sponsor here at Women's Fund of Rhode Island as a transformational leader. I will see him tomorrow morning at the Northern Rhode Island Chamber Eggs and Issues event. I see him often during the month. We'll shoot a text here and there. He is as genuine as that first picture I ever saw of him.
That's so nice. When I was networking a couple of years ago, I have a similar story where I called up the Miss America organization, and I emailed. I found out who I needed to talk to. I called, and I acted as if I was meant to work with them. And I I presented myself as if I was this big, huge brand, but I thought I should sponsor Miss America. Why not? Let's partner. And when they asked for a meeting, so I finally got a meeting with them. It was the CEO of Miss America, and I went, "Oh, wait a minute! Oh my God! Like this is now legit." And I met with the CEO at the time and their senior VP marketing, the whole thing. I had a whole shindig, and that's how I became the sponsor of the Miss America organization. So, like you, it was my. Like, I don't care. What do we have to lose? We're going to find out. Worst case, somebody's going to do is say no.
Yeah. And you know what I learned?
That bravery comes like when you're older, right?
Because it does. I wouldn't have done that probably in my 20s and 30s. That would have been. But now, we kind of go like, well, if I need to get this done, what am I going to do it? I'm just going to ask people.
Yeah. If I could tell my 20-year-old self the best advice, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, CIOs, they are as human as we are. They are human beings.
Yeah.
I was a COO for a skincare company, and I promise I'm real. Like, I'm normal.
It's a title. That's it.
Well, yeah, they'll think that you're not, and that you're not approachable, but you really are. You're just really busy.
Mm-hmm. Right. You're just really busy. But if you actually get them and get a good conversation with them, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, is not putting people into boxes based on a title, based on how they look, based on how they act. I swear like a truck driver. We have this Unapologetically Badass podcast, right? It's all about embracing and highlighting other badass women and having real raw conversations. But I also believe in God. I believe that there's a path. I pray every day. Like there's so many facets of me. But when somebody, just maybe sees or hears me, they're like, oh my gosh, this woman.
God save her.
I love that. We're authentic.
Authentic and unapologetic.
Authentically ourselves. I think that's like the big thing is that, and whenever you are more authentic, and I think that that's really where that CEO was willing, is because you just were completely, and he stays with you and loves you and supports you, Deb, not just the organization, for so many more reasons, because it's real. And people want that connectivity. They want to feel, they want to have eyeball time with humans again. It really is a real thing. And even though like this gets in the way, I'm holding up my phone, y'all, for those of you can't see this. People still want to go and have drinks and dinner and mingle. And that's why, and when you said, I call my friends, next thing you know, I have 120 of them show up. Yeah, they want to. They're needing it.
Yeah. How do you, because a lot of women struggle with not having, a pod to go to network, but yet they know that they want to. What tip, advice will you, share to make them more comfortable to step out of their box and actually go?
Yeah. So it's funny because I just gave this advice to a young college student the other day. I was like, just go to that first one. Because once you go to one, you're going to make one connection. I can guarantee you that. People usually, most people go to networking events and they'll at least see familiar faces as you start to get out there, right? So once you find that one connection, just one in that room, and have a conversation with them, then you're going to feel so much more comfortable, and it's going to start to become easier and easier. And pretty soon you will at least have one other person that you can say, hey, are you going to this event? Or even like put on your social medias that you would love to go to that event. And I'm guaranteeing you that one other person, minimally one, will want to go with you, because maybe somebody else is as scared to go to a networking event as you are if it is your first one. But you have to start somewhere. If you don't go to your first one, then you're probably never going to go to one, right?
Good advice. And what would you say? What would you suggest? So this is a new, somebody who's not comfortable, because it's daunting. It can be daunting. You've got people that are, right? And you've got people that are maybe immersed in conversations. You don't want to be that person to like, hello, just sitting here, sipping,
So the event, The event that I run, and I hope that people that do run their events kind of like man your room, right? So with Charisse and I, we have somebody who like takes over the desk now and signs them in as they're coming in. My next one is on January 22nd. So these people will arrive, they'll get their name tags, we'll give them the direction for the day. I have a sponsor that will get a chance to speak. And as I'm manning the room, I will look for those people that you just described that are like the outcast of the group or don't know what they're doing. And I can pin them right away. And I'm like, come, I want to introduce you to so-and-so. Like I will quickly get them into a cluster of people as quick as I can, or at least to one other person that's standing by themselves so that they're making some connectivity, because there's nothing worse than getting to an event and not feeling comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen somebody leave an event before. It wasn't one that I was running, but I saw them being that outcast. And before I could make it across the room to get to them, I saw them leave. So I know how like terrifying it is to be in a room. For me, I'm somebody who craves the connectivity. So I love not only connecting with people, but I love connecting people to people. Like that. I love taking it to that next level.
It's totally apparent. And I love how you said that you guys now have like a registration desk when they come in, because that really is also another opportunity. Like, hey, who did you come here with tonight? Or, you know, who invited you? And get that warm up conversation if you can, or if you have time. So then when you do see them, they're still alone and haven't integrated. And I love that you're so self-aware and how you said you man the room, because that is so important that an organizer does that. And I mean, I personally have never been to one of your events, but I just want to say thank you for doing that, because I have been to some and it just gave me like that cringy feeling. And I'm like, I can't ever do it. And I feel like I'm somewhat extroverted. Like I can handle it. I love and I crave people. But when I am not uncomfortable, I'm just like, no, I don't want to go back. That was icky. That felt gross. And nobody should ever feel that way.
Right. And even so much, like I had a woman reach out today. She's miserable in her job, looking for a new job, knows that I'm connected to a lot of people, wanted some help. And I said, you know what? Somebody just wrote to me that they can't make it on the 22nd. Their ticket's yours if you want to come to the event, and at least start making some connections, because you need to build really your net worth. I say it all the time. Your net worth is your network. And if you're not working your network, you're only as valuable as your network.
Yep.
Love it.
That's really great. That's really great.
We're going to put that quote in her.
I know, right?
We're going to have to quote that one on.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so true.
It really is. It is.
And okay, so I have to go back to the singing, because the national anthem thing, that's a hot song. I have to, because it's been sticking in me with like Super Bowl coming up. If you could sing the national anthem at any major event, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Would it be the Tonys? Like, would it they don't sing the national anthem at the Tonys, but
do you know what? It would probably be a Red Sox game, and I'm going to tell you why. My little guy. Sorry, Sarah.
I know. My son is a Red Sox fan, so I think this is really cool. And Fenway is like, I mean, it's the major stadium. It is. Okay, tell us more. No.
So I would have to say a Red Sox game over a Patriots game. And my dad is probably rolling in his grave, because my dad was the official NFL timekeeper for the Patriots for over 20 years. So
wow.
And I never sang an anthem back then, because they didn't really, I don't even know why I didn't, but a Red Sox game, because my youngest is huge baseball. Like his dream is to play for the MLB, like his big dream, but his smaller dream will be something in sports. I don't know what, he's a sophomore in high school, so we got plenty of time, but he loves the Red Sox. And I would love to sing at a Red Sox game and have him be at that game.
Oh my gosh. Cool. Have you reached out to them?
No. We're talking out loud right now.
She's like, step back, Renee. This is my year to take a step back.
No, but now it's like between you having this networking and reaching out to the president of Landmark, like why not reach out to the Red Sox with the recording?
at your
Right?
ex. Yeah, I'm doing it. Oh, you didn't know? They didn't tell you?
You know what?
Let me know if we've got to sign a petition. Like, what do we got to do to get Deb Honor singing the national anthem at the Red Sox game?
I've never even really thought about that question until you just asked it. So I guess now I have to put my money where my mouth is and reach out.
Have you created? Do you have a vision board?
I do not have a vision board, but I do have a lot of like things I write a million things down. Like I'm somebody who doesn't sleep often, as you can probably tell, and I will just write things down in the middle of the night.
Okay, so I challenge you to have this as a vision board, to add it to it, and we're gonna manifest this. And if you want,
what we're gonna, but Renee and I are gonna manifest because when, right, Renee, when you sing the national anthem, we will be getting tickets and flying.
Okay.
So I am
a Disney thing first, though. I want to be the Disney character first, like that. Really.
Oh, okay, okay, whichever you like. So put those on your vision board and let me know when this is happening, and Sierra and I will be there.
I love it.
Oh, I love it.
That's fantastic. You can put this as your future script. I have it all planned out for you, Deb. So we'll talk.
She just came on our show and we totally just bossing her around. We're like,
I love this.
You're gonna do this, girl. You're going. She's like, 2025. I was taking a step back. We're like, no, you're not.
You're going to Disney. You're becoming a character, and you're singing the national anthem with the Red Sox. But other than that, stepping back is good, so you can enjoy family time.
Have fun with that. Good luck.
Right?
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
And what do you
hilarious.
hope your children learn after watching your career journey, your personal growth, you evolving into, fundraising, nonprofits? What do you hope they learn?
I hope that they learn to never settle for less than what they are worth. Because I feel like, let's be real here, there are so many bosses out there that are not genuine, authentic, good bosses, for a lack of better words. And I feel like over time, I did settle in a lot of those positions where I knew that I was worth more than, and I just want them to know that you don't have to stay. Like if you have somebody who's not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, it's time to go. And you have to know your own self-worth.
That is great.
It's a long time to learn that. And that is one reason why Renee and I speak all the time about reinventing yourself after 40, because I think that sometimes you get to that point and it's like you just stop and say, I'm worth it. I am enough. I know. And a lot of times it has to happen in your 40s. And I don't know why we're wired this way, Deb, but all these incredible things happen leading up to your 40s. And then you finally realize the path that you really are supposed to take. And then you look back and say, did I waste? I think it was learning. I try not to think of it as a waste. I think of it as a learning. But man, like you said in the beginning, if I could have told my 20-year-old self this, why do we say that all the time? Why do we do this? I don't know. If we could just have a stop clock and just be like, okay, let's be 20 again with all our great collagen, right? And our tight butt and perky boobs and smart brain, but have a 40-year-old brain, right? Like,
or mindset. Yeah.
Yes. Crazy.
Yeah, because honestly, you have to know your own value. And if you don't know your own value, you're not going to get any further than you are, and you're not going to end up where you're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. Right. I love that. You're such a pleasure to connect with. As soon as I met you, it was like an instant. And then when you came over to another event, you were like, oh, I think I have this. And you're like, it's you. We were like, oh my God, this is great. An instant love.
My badass hat.
Her badass queen hat. She was like, I have to have this. Yeah, I love it. I love
that hat too. It's awesome.
Yeah. So no, it's such a great. You want to tell us a little bit more about Women's Fund of Rhode Island?
Yeah, sure. So we invest in women and girls. We do it through research. We have a huge research project right now going with some of our partners, including Brown University, Girl Scouts of Southern New England. And we're doing a whole research project on the status of the girl. That report will be out hopefully the end of January, beginning of February. We do a lot of advocacy. We have an advocacy program. Angela is our advocacy director. She has a 10-month-long program where she actually teaches women how to advocate. They pick a bill in this class, and the cohort right now I think is either 17 or 18, and they stay together for the 10 months, and then they pick a bill that they work on. Last year we worked on paid leave. So it's really just a great organization. We're women focused, but we need our allies. So that's why tons of men are involved. I'm actually going to start a men's ally group this year. So I'm very excited about that. And as I mentioned, I am in charge of all the sponsorship. I'm in charge of relationship building, donor cultivation, and I oversee the development committee, which is a super fun committee.
Fantastic. So you're slowing down how?
Right? I don't know how I'll ever slow down, but I will tell you this, in the summertime, I will be working 4 long days so that I can have Fridays off. So I'm very excited about that.
Fantastic.
Memorial Day and Labor Day. And if I give you other advice, get a boss that allows you to do that.
Yeah.
Or have an agreement, like I'm going to get my stuff done. You know it. You better believe that I'm going to hit every deadline, but here's just something that I'm looking for some balance, right? And then when they're like, you know what, if you do it, I'm going to do it. Then you know you're in the right spot. You're like, yes, let's do it.
Well, exactly. And then employees actually don't mind putting in some extra work on nights or weekends if they need to, because they have the flexibility of having, a Fridays off in the summer, or doing something so that they can have this work-life balance. It's so important.
It is so important.
And your son plays sports, so it sounds like he's very sporty, right? So you're probably wanting to make sure with him hitting his junior year that's so important.
Exciting times.
I know. And my boss, Kelly, is amazing at, like, last year baseball season, I was brand new into this job, right? I'd only been there for 3 months, and their games were many afternoons at 3:30. So she was like, I went to as many as I could. I tried to keep the events to a minimum on those days because I wanted to try to get to baseball as much as I could.
Yeah. Well, I love seeing all the
events. Do you hold a week then?
How many events do I hold, or do I go to?
Well, eat both.
You'd be fearful to see the amount of events that I go to. You can ask Renee. It's insanity. I probably try. Let's see. Like just today alone, I have had 2 coffees, a lunch, a meeting, and then now this. And then tomorrow I have a breakfast, a coffee, a lunch, and a meeting. And the first event is a networking event. And then Thursday, I also have a networking event, and I know I have a lunch. Oh, my development committee. I have my development committee coming in. We have a meeting, and then I have one more coffee in the afternoon. So I probably...
And then in the bigger events, you're getting 5 numbers and connections to keep filling your calendar as you go as well. Then still rescheduling, I'm sure, with these coffee dates for a further coffee date, I'm sure. Because that's what I'm just thinking.
Yes. And then also my sponsors, right? I had a really big, large amount of sponsors in 2024. So I am continuing those relationships and trying to make sure that they get in my calendar as well. So I want to make sure that I'm getting a coffee or a lunch and reconnecting with them as we're getting these events to launch for 2025.
Amazing. And I'm sure you're the type of person, I can just tell, but I can't be for sure. So I'm going to ask you. It seems to me, just getting to know you in this couple of 30 minutes or so, that when I'm face to face with you, you give me all of you. Am I am right in that. She's shaking her head. Yes. Yes. I had a feeling because you just seem so present, Deb.
Yes.
And I love that about you.
Yes, even like the coffee this morning, there was another friend in the coffee shop and I invited him to come sit for 10 minutes to get to meet this girl who was in between jobs. I was like, who do you know that we can help her with? So I put it on LinkedIn. She already had 4 people reach out to give her interviews. So hopefully that will help her in the long run. Like, I really do feel like I was brought to this earth for so many. I feel like when I got in line through those pearly gates to come down here or whatever you come through, that they gave me way too many assignments. You're going to sing and you're going to be a fundraiser and you're going to teach music and you are going to be a team captain for the Jimmy Fund Walk. And you're like, I just felt like I got handed all these cards and I just really tried to figure out which ones am I supposed to use, right? And for right now, I'm using all of them. Like, all those cards are in play. And I'm just trying to figure out like where I can, like, cutting the corners, working 4 longer days from Memorial Day to Labor Day is going to be huge for me, because I will definitely make Fridays a priority to take my kids to the beach or take them to Canopy Lake, whatever they want to do, just so I can at least have a day that I'm spending with them. Because also on the weekends, I sing in a church. So my calendar is always full.
Right. Right.
You're a connector. Your life passion, because singing is connecting with people. It's a story. You get goosebumps when you watch somebody sing. It doesn't matter how old, how young, what color, what age. It's a connection. You are a connector. God gifted you with the connection gift. Is that a gift? I'm not sure if that's the gift, but it is now.
It is. No, and she's masterful at it. And when you meet her in person, she is very present. And that's really something that, a lot of people can learn from, because too many people, with this being so close to everyone, they tend to like have conversation and then they're on their phone. And that is so annoying. So teaching, especially the younger generation, to put the freaking phone down. And when you are having conversations, you are having conversations, right?
Did you guys know that they are now, like, the new way of online dating is to do Zooms first? Like,
what?
I mean,
you need to meet the person.
Zoom, but that was during 2020. So you have like an excuse before you met Renee, because she's over here like, I did a Zoom first.
I was like,
but this is like a process. And I'm like,
well, whether it's Zoom or FaceTime, you're going to interview them before you get your ass out of the house.
It's the truth.
I mean, I just did text message and I was like,
no, I want full on. I want to know who the hell you are. There was no way I was leaving I'm not wasting my time.
I need to make sure you're really not 5'1".
Yeah. No, and I would even share that with anyone younger. Don't you dare leave your house and go meet anyone until you've properly interviewed and vetted them.
That's funny, because both of our faces, me and Deb, were like, no. And then she's over here like, yeah, you're going to do it. And we're like, okay, maybe our perspective. Yeah. But anyways, I had to bring that up because, so technology kind of does ruin things for us. And it's like that in person is, I feel like, where it is still. And maybe I'm old school and my thinking, but I just need to be eyeball. And I'm a hugger. So I want to hug you. And if I can't hug you, like,
I do too, but I'm not wasting my freaking time.
Okay, I got it. Dating is different. Okay, fine, friend. We know each other. Okay, listen, Deb, we know each other, but we still haven't met in person.
That's right.
We haven't got to give each other a hug, but we've Zoomed.
We will.
Yep.
We can make that happen.
We'll make it happen.
It's our dream. We're going to make it happen. It is going to happen.
Well, so nice having you on. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your story, your resilience. Yes. And I can't wait to hear your singing voice too. We're gonna be there in Disney and in Fenway to watch you perform for sure.
Well, then I will leave you with this. Watch and you'll see. Someday I'll be part of your world.
Oh my gosh!
I was singing inside, like I was singing with you all wholeheartedly. That was so beautiful.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that is so.
That was the best way to wrap up a podcast. what a
I love it.
beautiful voice you have.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
What a gift. So yes, we will be there in Disney. Let me know if you need me to create a petition to get you to Fenway, but we're on it.
I love it.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening, and stay unapologetically badass, my friends. And we will see you on the next one.
Awesome.
See you
Thank
later.
you so much, ladies.
Thank you. All right, queens, that's a wrap for today's episode. But before you hit pause, let's talk about you and how we can help you slay every part of your life. If you're ready to feel fabulous and look like $1,000,000, I've got you covered with my badass queen coaching, sparkling Touchstone crystal jewelry, and Bella Grace collagen, because glowing skin and a sparkly vibe, that's a power move. Check it all out at ReneeCarbonFleming.com. And my co-host Sierra, oh yeah, she's bringing the heat too. Not only is she rocking Bella Grace collagen for her glow game, but she's also the queen of chic with her fabulous clothing boutique. From boosting your wellness to leveling up your wardrobe, Sierra's got the magic to help you shine inside and out. Check her out at Linktree/SierraWhitener7. So here's the deal. Head to our websites, grab the goods that'll help you live your best life, and let's make everything about you unapologetically badass. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your fellow queens, because the more sparkle in the world, the better. Until next time, keep glowing, keep slaying, and remember, you're a badass queen who deserves it all.